Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kayla Thompson, and I am the coordinator of marketing here at ASTA. I will also be the organizer for today's presentation. We are happy to welcome today's presenters, ASTA's very own Bob Douglas and Jen Whitney. Bob is Vice President of International Membership and Expansion and works very closely with Jen, whom is our Director of Marketing. We also have a special guest, Bob Scholder, who is Content Development Manager at King's Tours. Before we get started, I'd like to point out a few important features on your screen that will allow you to interact with us via the web. We will be answering your questions at the end of the presentation. To ask a question, you will go to your GoToWebinar page. Near the bottom of this page is an area that says questions. If you click on the arrow next to where it says questions, it will open up a window page. This is what you will use to communicate with us. If you are having trouble hearing the presentation, please make sure your speakers are turned on. If you called in, try hanging up and dialing back in again. You can send me any technical issues via the questions page, and I will try to answer them. I will respond to you in the same. Please also note that all audience members are muted. We certainly want to hear from you, but we have so many people on the call that the background noise can be prohibitive, and we want to ensure that everyone can hear the presentation. Finally, remember that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing at asta.org by early next week. So let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce Bob, Jen, and Benny.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kayla. Shalom, everybody, and welcome. We've got a really great panel for you today to discuss Israel, and we're talking to you from Washington, D.C., Fort Lauderdale, and Tel Aviv. So we've got a really good program lined up. We're going to talk about what we'll be doing in Israel with the Destination Expo and some absolutely wonderful tours that are set up by our partners for pre and post with Kenneth. So I'd like to introduce our Director of Marketing, Jen Whitney. Jen's going to take you through the PowerPoint, and we'll all be available to answer any questions you may have afterwards. So Jen, would you like to take it away?
I would love to. Thanks, Bob. Welcome, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending upon where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us, as Bob had mentioned. So I'm going to go through a couple of informations to get you acclimated on what the ASTA Destination Expo is, what you can expect, what you'll experience, and also give you some information on some of the air discounts that we have going on throughout the program. So just to give you a background of what the Destination Expo is, so this is an annual conference that is held internationally in a different country every year. We've had past expos in Kenya, Spain, and recently in Greece. So this year we have decided to have ours in collaboration with the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and this will be in Israel. Now, to kind of touch base on what you can expect if you attend the Destination Expo. So this is really going to be a way for you to learn how you can increase sales to Israel, whether you are currently selling Israel or if you are looking to sell Israel in the future. We'll have certified destination training, and we'll give you the information that you need to inspire your clients to build that portfolio. If you are currently an advisor who is looking to add to your specialization or in search of a new market, or again, maybe if you're a seller of travel to Israel already and you're looking to expand your knowledge, highly recommend you join us in November, as this will be a great opportunity for you. And one of the biggest things I think that most of our attendees gain from attending an international destination expo is actually going to be the supplier contacts that you will be receiving. Based on some of our feedback from our previous events, most attendees will walk away with 15 to 20 new business contacts that they keep, in their portfolio nonstop, and you have a home base of suppliers that are there in Israel to make sure that your clients have VIP treatment anytime they travel. Now, why Israel? So Israel actually is known as the land of creation. They're continuing to increase tourism. Just in 2017, they had 600,000 tourists, and just in 2018, it has increased to over 1 million. Now that is a lot to help in regards to the $8 million of digital campaign money, as well as almost $15.9 that they have committed to television and transportation marketing here in the U.S. So if you have been either on Facebook, or if you've been watching TV, or maybe riding the subway or metro to work, you most likely have seen an advertisement for Jerusalem or Tel Aviv within the last 6 months. I know I have, and I can't tell you how nice and appealing it really is to see that and know that your clients are probably seeing them too. And if they're not asking about Israel now, they will most definitely be asking about Israel in the next couple of months. So this will just help you to navigate that trip for them. Now, to go a little bit more into the program and what you can expect, on my screen here, you will see what the event program looks like. This is a very high-level overview, but at the beginning and the end of the program, we have pre-educational and post-educational journeys. These are also called SPANs. And in between, we have the conference. The conference actually runs November 10th through the 14th. As you can see, on Sunday, November 10th, we have arrival transfers, as well as an opening event. And then on Monday, November the 11th, we will have our general session. We'll have our certified destination educational sessions, as well as a trade show for you to meet those suppliers, and a special evening event. And then on Tuesday, November 12th, we will have, again, our education sessions. Again, we do not stop that information flow, as well as more intimate B2B meetings for you to meet with local suppliers. So you can go the day before, meet on the trade show, get an idea of who you might want to have B2B and more enclosed meetings with the next day. And then on Wednesday, we will have sightseeing tours. And then Thursday will be our last day, where we will depart, and you may go to an educational journey or head back home. Now, as far as the evening events and sightseeing tours and what you're going to experience, you will be working with the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and they are going to put on some showstoppers for us. There's no question about that. So we will have an evening event in either Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, or in both. As well as the sightseeing tours, we will make sure that we have our attendees head to Jerusalem as well as Tel Aviv for some really great opportunities to tour either the old city of Jerusalem or maybe the Jaffa area of Tel Aviv. Now, to get into the rates and what you can expect as far as per person. So we're actually, what we've done before in the past for conventions and for our expos is we've kind of itemized, if you will, each component. So this would be maybe your hotel would be separate fee, your convention registration would be a separate fee, and whatnot. Well, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of what is all included in this pricing. But for double occupancy, if you're an ASTA member, double occupancy is $649, single occupancy is $849. And of course, we would love for you to bring guests. If you have a spouse or a friend who maybe does not sell travel but would be interested in coming, we'd love to have them. They're also able to come with a fee. Rates do increase by $100 after September 6th. So highly recommend going online, getting yourself registered and set for that. If you are not a member of ASTA, it'll be a price increase of $199, but that includes your first year of ASTA membership. So I think that is really great for you to have, so that you can come in and keep on connecting with your supplier contacts that you make while you're there. And if you're a past Destination Expo attendee, so if you attended any of our Destination Expos in the past years, either in Kenya or Greece or Spain, love to have you back. We will offer $50 off promotion. Just email meetings@asta.org for that special code. Now, to get into a little bit more detail of what's included in your registration, as I mentioned, this is something that we want to do to help alleviate any stresses you have for your travels. So within that double occupancy, $649 per person rate, you will actually have your 4-night hotel lodging at a 4-star and above property in Tel Aviv. So all hotels and our home base will be in Tel Aviv. We will be announcing the hotels very, very soon. So if you are a registered attendee, you're going to be the first to know what hotels will be chosen, and we'll give you the step-by-step process on how to confirm those. Now, of course, that includes check-in that's November 10th to the November 14th. We also will include your round-trip airport transfers, and this is from the airport to the hotel that you'll be staying in Tel Aviv. That's before and after the conference. Of course, as mentioned, you have the special events that will be hosted by our partners in Israel. Our sightseeing tours will be included in that registration cost. You'll have education sessions and meetings, which, can be priceless based on, how many contacts you receive and are able to help inspire those clients that you have. Most meals are included. And of course, in order for you to participate in a pre or post educational journey, you do have to be a registered attendee of this event. So this just gives you access to be able to do that. Now, to transition into what we're offering as our free pre and post educational journeys. What you see here are all of our really great partners that we're working with. Bob Duglin, our Vice President of International Expansion, who was on with us earlier, actually worked very closely with all of these vendors who are ASTA members. So working with them, they have created and given us some, I think it's over 16 different options for pre and post educational journeys for you to choose from. So yes, there are some that are based in Israel, but what's different about these ones is that they're not going to be similar to what you'll be seeing when you're at the expo. So any sightseeing tours or any evening events that are taking place, those are going to be at totally different arenas, and sightseeing tours are not facilitated with these ones or related. So also on here, you'll be going to Turkey. They have some options in Jordan, and going into our last post educational journeys, we'll also have a special tour to Cyprus, and Bob Duglin is actually going to be the host of that one. So what I have on the phone here is Benny, and Benny is actually the content development manager for Tennis Tours. And Tennis is one of our great partners who is supplying and hosting 4 of our pre and post educational journeys. 2 will be pre. One is a culinary and wine and an LGBTQ focused, as well as 2 posts, which will be art and culture and spa wellness. So we have invited Benny on the call today to give us a high-level overview of what you can expect on each of these tours. And so Benny, if you would like to kind of dive in and give us some information, that would be great.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jen, and thanks, Bob, for offering me the opportunity to speak with you today. I see that we're going to begin with the culinary and wine tour. First of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us. Culinary and wine is going to be a phenomenal experience. It's a phenomenal 4-day experience that will expose you and your guests to the very best that Israel has to provide and offer in terms of its culinary and wine scene. It is no secret that in recent years, Israel has been going through a culinary renaissance in terms of not only stepping outside of the box in terms of what we are offering inside of the country, but also in terms of awareness of our culinary heritage outside the country as well. I know that if you're in New York, there are a lot of different branches of different popular Israeli restaurants in New York, also in Philadelphia, Miami, LA. Israeli food is more and more being on the table in the United States and around the world, and therefore and demonstrate and show you just how it is that has come to be. So starting right off of the first day, right off the bat, you're going to arrive in Israel and be taken to where it all began, in Old Jaffa, one of the oldest cities in the world, over 4,500 years of history and heritage up into the modern day. And right off the bat, we're going to be going to Jaffa's Montefiore winery tasting room. This is one of Israel's greatest wineries, and they operate a tasting room in the old city of Jaffa, where you can get right into it and start tasting some great wines, followed by a wonderful Shuk Bites tour of the Carmel Market. Carmel Market is Tel Aviv's central market, featuring over 500 different stalls of amazing food that draws on the experience of the Jewish diaspora in the many, many, many different countries where people came to Israel from, in addition to great Arab food coming from the tradition of Jaffa next door. So you'll be able to taste some of that great food, and then afterwards continue on to experience some of the heart of Tel Aviv's architecture and business districts, to see some of the great innovation that you might have heard of the startup nation. And then, of course, with the option to experience some of Tel Aviv's great nightlife in the evening. And then the following day, we'll be continuing on towards Caesarea, which of course is one of the biggest ancient Roman cities excavated in the country, right in the Mediterranean coast. And afterwards, going to the Somek Estate Winery for a tour and tasting. Phenomenal wines, really some of the best in Israel, and in a wonderful, beautiful setting on the Carmel Mountain, overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. Cap that off with a Drew's Home Hospitality lunch. And then onwards from there to the city of Nazareth. Of course, Nazareth has its position in the pantheon of world history and the history of Christianity. So we'll be experiencing that through our stomachs, going through the market, tasting the food of Nazareth, and then seeing some of the sites such as the Church of the Annunciation, and then going onwards towards a hotel in the Galilee. The following day, we're going to be hitting the Golan Heights and understanding some of the geostrategic issues that affect the region. Of course, that would be something that we feel is very important to do when you come to Israel, is to understand where you are, what are the challenges, what are the nuanced complexities that face us here in the country. And then, of course, to move on from there to taste some of the great wines of the Golan Heights at the Golan Heights Winery. And afterwards, we'll make our way south through the Jordan Valley to Jerusalem, seeing some of the agriculture of the region as we pass through the Jordan Valley. And then, if we have time, visiting a site called Qasr el Yehud, which was the site of Jesus's baptism, or the St. George's Monastery nearby, which is a very beautiful ancient monastery that's dating from the Byzantine era. And then the last day to spend some time hitting some of the gems of the four quarters of the old city of Jerusalem, seeing some of the timeless beauty of some of the most amazing religious sites, heritage sites, and cultural sites. And then, of course, eating some of our country's fabulous and famous hummus. And then having dinner at a leading restaurant in the city, and traveling to Tel Aviv, and then having dinner at one of the city's leading restaurants, and that'll be the culmination of this tour. So I really encourage anybody who's really into food and wine, join this tour, taste the wonderful food that Israel has to offer, and you won't be disappointed. So I think we can move on to the next one. If we could move on to the next slide, that'd be great.
Is it showing for you?
Now we got it. Okay.
Okay.
Great. So I think it's no secret Israel is one of the most forward-thinking countries in the world, the region for sure, but definitely the world when it comes to LGBTQ issues and to the approach and understanding of the LGBTQ community. It's July. Last month was June, which kicked off and culminated with the country's largest Pride Festival in Tel Aviv, which is one of the largest Pride festivals in the world. And although you won't be coming in June for Pride, this tour will definitely expose people to some of the great things that are of interest to the LGBTQ community in Israel, as well as a very well-rounded experience, tasting, experiencing, seeing, and feeling some of the more meaningful sites of the country, whether it's Jaffa or the avant-garde tastes and sights, sounds of the Levinsky market through a Bite Mojo culinary tour, which is a fantastic culinary tour that you're able to do using an app on your phone. So you can demonstrate to FITs that come to Israel, or private cars that come to Israel, or individuals that want to just taste food, except that they don't want to join a large-scale tour, so they can go on their own and using their phone experience things in the market. After that, the Rainbow Tour is a fantastic tour that shows some of basically the evolution of the LGBTQ community in Israel, going through places like Gan Meir in Tel Aviv, where the LGBTQ community center is, and walking through some what they call pink points, some of the different stations, if you will, through Tel Aviv, to show the evolution politically and culturally of the LGBTQ community in Tel Aviv and in Israel as a whole. And then, of course, nightlife. there's literally hundreds of different options where your guests could go and experience some wild nightlife, some great nightlife. It could be low key, it could be high key. It really we can take them and show them it all. The following day kind of touches on some of the same motifs that we had covered with the culinary tour, but we find that that's especially in demand also on LGBTQ tours and other tours as well. So again, visiting Caesarea, wineries, Druze cuisine, and then going up towards the Galilee. And here we're going to be visiting the city of Tzfat, which is the capital of the Kabbalah in Israel, known for its mysticism. And then the next day, making our way to the Golan Heights, geostrategic briefings with a top IDF expert from the military, and then making our way through the Jordan Valley to Jerusalem. Of course, no night in Jerusalem would be complete on an LGBTQ tour without a visit to Video Pub, which was Jerusalem's first gay bar, which of course in a city known for its centrality to the three Abrahamic faiths and all of that, and what that can mean. It definitely was a revolutionary concept when it first opened, and of course now it's something that's so normal that nobody thinks otherwise, but it's a fantastic place to go and a great vibe, and everybody, I promise, will have a wonderful time. And then the following day to experience the gems of the four quarters of the old city of Jerusalem, from the Christian quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Armenian quarter, and the Jewish quarter, with a visit to the Western Wall. Great hummus lunch, and then of course going back to Tel Aviv, and capping off with a dinner at a restaurant accompanied by Russell Lord, who is a trusted colleague of ours here at Kennis Tours, and who also is the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association's ambassador to Israel, and one of Israel's most recognized LGBTQ experts when it comes to travel. So that's a wonderful tour, and I encourage anybody who's interested in the LGBTQ world and its issues to participate in it, and you won't be disappointed. So moving on. Art and culture. It goes without saying that Israel is a country steeped in the history of the arts and culture, and that's going from its ancient history all the way through to the modern era. This tour, where I see we're now in the post tour, so this is going to be after the expo and starting in Jerusalem with a visit to Mount Scopus to enjoy a breathtaking vista of the city, and then spending the majority of the day between the old city of Jerusalem, seeing those gems once again, and then going to the Israel Museum, which is the largest cultural institute in the country, and also home to the Shrine of the Book, which is internationally famous as the home to the Dead Sea Scrolls. The following day, just to review some of the highlights, we're making our way north through the Jordan Valley, again stopping at Kasr el-Yehud, the site of Jesus' baptism, through to Beit She'an, which is the largest ancient excavated city in Israel, and formerly one of the Roman Decapolises, which is one of the Roman capitals of the region. Fantastic history to be seen. And then, of course, going to Magdala on the Sea of Galilee, which is another site, another archaeological site with excavations dating back over 2,000 years of importance to Christianity and to Judaism. So there's a very strong interfaith, multi-faith dynamic experience to be had there as well. And then the day will culminate with a leisurely boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. The following day we call Mystical Journey. We're going to go to Tzfat, to Safed, to meet with a Kabbalistic artist and to experience and explore the meaning of the Kabbalah and what that means to Judaism and to the world. And then going on to the nearby city of Rosh Pina, which is a historic city dating back over 150 years. And it's also a home to a very vibrant artist colony. We can meet with many of the different artists and see their galleries, and then heading back to the Mediterranean coast down towards Tel Aviv, stopping via Caesarea, Caesarea to experience the excavations and the wonderful sites and the multi-layered history dating from the Roman period through the Crusader period and the Islamic period, and of course up to the Common Era. And then we'll arrive in Tel Aviv, and the next day we're going to tour Old Jaffa, go for a street tour, a street art tour, graffiti tour of Tel Aviv's bohemian Florentine neighborhood, to experience some great graffiti street art. And in Israel, of course, that definitely will be exposing people to some of the hot issues of the day, political activism and whatnot. And then from there, again, that Bite Mojo, that mobile-led, app-driven technology that will take people through a great culinary tour of the Levinsky market, and then culminating with a visit to the Tel Aviv Museum, which is the city's most influential museum of the arts, featuring one of the largest selections of contemporary modern art, as well as a historic period art in the country, if not in Europe and the world. And then having a great farewell dinner at a chef restaurant called Claro, which is located in the Sirona market area, or the Sirona area, which is a renovated German Templar colony that is in the middle of Tel Aviv. Of course, it was built before Tel Aviv existed, but the city has surrounded it, and it's now a wonderful entertainment district, complete with bars, restaurants, nightclubs, and some really, really great restaurants. So that's one choice for dinner. Another choice could be Itzik Hagadol, which is a traditional Israeli grill restaurant. So this is one of those places where you'll go where they'll put lots of different Middle Eastern foods, meats on skewers, kebab, shawarma, putting out a spread of over 50 different salads in front of you. Mark that number, 50 different salads, which could be anything from hummus to Moroccan matbucha, or Romanian salads, Uzbekistan, basically all of the different countries of the Jewish diaspora would be represented on the table, and that would be it for that tour. Is there another tour? Spa and wellness. Okay, so this is going to be our last. This is going to be our last post tour. Of course, Israel is known for its spa and wellness culture. The country is literally rife with, I want to say thousands of different spas. Every hotel is going to have some sort of a spa in one form or another, and of course, no visit would be complete without understanding where that heritage comes from. So in this particular tour, we're going to be starting out in Jerusalem, experiencing the old city again, and then going up north the following day via the Jordan Valley. We want to get you there a little bit earlier, so this day is going to be a little bit less on the content on the way up, and more about getting to one of the regions, or the country, I should say, is most spectacular spa hotels, to really spend the afternoon enjoying people's time at leisure, to enjoy whatever treatments or massages, or you really, even spending some time at the gym, whatever one might want to do at the spa to relax. And then again, the following morning, to have a little bit of time to enjoy the spa, and then from there to experience the Kabbalistic mysticism of Tzfat, and then go towards the coast and head down towards Tel Aviv. Experience Jaffa after hours, experience the vibe of thousands of different people, tourists, Israelis, internationals, anybody really going out and having a great time in the evening in some of Jaffa's greatest bars and pubs. And then the following morning, of course, because it's spa and wellness, to have the option for people that might desire to go for a guided run or walk along Tel Aviv's iconic beachfront promenade, going from the area where most of the hotels are in the northern part along the coast down towards Jaffa. And then once you're in Jaffa, to experience its different art galleries and cultural experiences. We'll have that street art tour for anybody that's interested in experiencing that bohemian side of the city. And of course, no tour to Tel Aviv would be complete without experiencing the culinary side of things through that Bite Mojo tour of the Levinsky market. And then we're going to end with an afternoon bike ride touring Tel Aviv Central Hayarkon Park, which is Tel Aviv, our version of Central Park, stretching all the way across the city from the sea towards its eastern borders. So really to have a great time and experience the park, and to see lots of people out and about, jogging and exercising and relaxing, and it's a really great atmosphere. And then to have dinner at the end of the day, either at Claro in Sirona or at one of Israel's greatest farm to table icons, which is Mashia. which is a wonderful restaurant as well. So that about does it for the tours. I'd be happy to discuss any questions that the moderators might have about things, and to see and I hope to see all of you here.
Great, thank you, Benny. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was very, very good, thorough information for each of the tours that you can experience with Kenneth's tours. I think what's really interesting about all of the tours is that there is a mix of all of them in each of the itineraries. So you can't really go wrong with any of them. It just really depends on, what are some of the highlights out of the meat of the itinerary that you want to experience. So Benny will stay on the call and be available to answer any questions that anyone might have afterwards. Now I'm going to go ahead and dig deep into the airline discounts that we have for our attendees. Our partners at iWorld of Travel actually have worked with El Al and Turkish Airlines to provide some pretty steep discounts to our attendees. El Al is offering discounts from 3 different cities out of the U.S., so San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Miami. Turkish Airlines is offering 15 to 20% off base. Off of the airline discounts based on codes. That's for business and for coach, depending upon the code and type. And then Air Canada is offering 10 to 15% off, and United is 2 to 10% off. So, typically when we do these international events, we know how important it is to get your travel booked quickly and as soon as possible, so that you can take advantage of the cheap rates. So, make sure if you're interested in coming, you're booking your information now, and then you can get your flights taken care of and take advantage of these great airline discounts. Of course, we want to thank our main sponsor, which is the Ministry of Tourism for Israel. And then, of course, we're working in partnership with some of our sister and affiliated partners overseas. So that is the Israel Incoming Tour Operators Association. They'll be working with us very closely on the supplier partnerships and participation overseas, as well as the Tel Aviv Hotel Association, who's working diligently with us as far as getting the hotels confirmed and set for our attendees. So that will do it for us in the presentation. Again, the Destination Expo is taking place November 10th to 14th. Home base will be in Tel Aviv, and we'll be making stops into Jerusalem as well. You can register at asta.org/destinationexpo. And if you're in a past Destination Expo attendee, you can contact meetings@asta.org for a special $50 code. Now, at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Kayla and see if we have any questions that may have come through we can answer.
Hello. We do have a couple of questions for today. The first one is, what's the difference between our event and educational journeys by other organizations? So I assume travel.
Okay, I think I can answer this the best way in saying that most educational journeys would be a FAM. So one differentiator that I see between the Destination Expo and, I'll call it a FAM because I know that that's, the kind of industry term for our educational journeys. So a FAM is going to be an immersed, more of an immersed itinerary. So you're going to be going nonstop from, starting at 8 a.m. You'll be picked up, you'll go to different sites, you'll see different things, meet different people. But what's different about our expo is that you're going to receive education. So we're going to have a set conference type style where you'll be able to go into a room, listen to speakers, engage in that education, as well as a trade show and the supplier B2B meeting. So those are the 3 things that differentiate our expo from the educational journeys. So you'll be able to explore other parts of Israel and surrounding countries through the educational journeys or FAM. And then at the expo, you'll be able to go through the education and connect with local suppliers.
All right, we also have, are these discounts off of Z fares or the highest fares?
I'm sorry, what was the first part of that?
Hey, Jan, I can probably answer that. Can you hear me? It's going to be the best published fare at the time. So if you look for, if there's a sale going on, you can get the discount from whatever that lowest fare is at that particular time. So it's not off the high fares.
All right. Another question is, when are we going to find out exactly what we will see in Jerusalem?
I could probably answer some of that. Literally, since we've been on this call, I've heard from the Israel ministry that our hotels and our meetings are all going to be in Tel Aviv. Our sightseeing will be in Jerusalem. I don't know specifically what it is yet, but, you know, I'm sure we're going to be talking about the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall, you know, the Dome of the Rock, or as close as we can get to it. But we should have that information for you before the end of July. So keep an eye on that asta.org/ADE website.
All right. Thank you. Another question is, when will hotel choices be available?
They will be available for you within days. I literally just found out what they are. They're beautiful hotels in central Jerusalem. We right on the beach. We just need to find out how we're going to be allocated. But I think you're going to be very pleased. And if choices are available, it's going to go to those who are registered first. So I definitely urge you to make sure you're registered for the Destination Expo.
All right, and another question is, can an ASTA member bring a guest or a couple for their own room?
At this point, we're set up for double occupancy. Am I right with that, Jen? So we don't have a triple option at this point, but that could change. We'll have to look into that.
That's correct, Bob.
Sorry, there's a couple of questions. I'm just going through them. One question is, do you know what time things will be starting on the 10th for those who will be arriving in Tel Aviv that day?
I believe it will be with the welcome reception in the early evening, if I'm not mistaken. And if you're on a FAM, you will be delivered to the hotel where that'll be taking place.
I think a rule of thumb maybe is if you're looking at booking travel and wanting to come in, I would probably, just so you have some time to settle in and get ready for the evening event, you probably want to be in by, I would say, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Does that sound fair, Bob?
Yeah, that makes sense. Benny, what do you figure, an hour, that time of day coming in from Ben Gurion?
Usually the time from getting to the airport to Tel Aviv is about, you know, from getting off the plane, going through customs, getting your bags, and driving into the city, an hour and a half tops, and that's depending on how much traffic there is in the airport, more than there is on the highway.
Thank you, and I had a correction. Hello? Oh, sorry. I had a correction to the last question. It wasn't for a couple, but they wanted to know if a group was able to get 2 rooms, not a triple. If the ASTA member could get 2 rooms.
Yeah, you need to have one registered travel advisor in every room.
Okay. Also, if you were going on a pre-FAM, can you get an extra night before the FAM begins?
Yes, we will work that out for you.
Great.
We just have to get the hotels all squared away.
All right, that looks like all of our questions.
Great.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you. So, thank you all. Again, please be sure to download this presentation from the handout section of your GoToWebinar page before we end today. As I mentioned, this webinar was being recorded, so if you would like to listen to the presentation again, it will be available to ASTA members at asta.org. Thank you, Bob and Jen, and all of you who have joined us for today's webinar. This will conclude today's presentation, and we hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. Please be sure to complete the short survey that will pop up on your screen any moment, as we greatly appreciate your feedback. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.